It is no secret that since Apex Legends Season 6 has launched, the weapon changes have been highly controversial. And with that, I figured it was time to do a top 10 weapons list for my best weapons of Season 6 of Apex Legends. It should be noted though that my list does not include any care package weapons. If it did, the R99 and the Peacekeeper would both be in my top 3 for the season. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and drop a comment down below. Let me know what your top 2 weapons of the season are, what's your go-to for a combo this season, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. We got lots of videos coming out this week. And without any farther ado guys, let's see what my top 10 weapons for the season are. Big thanks to Swogglenoz for the comment this week. Be sure to drop a comment down below if you want to have a chance for your comment to be featured. I like to feature one before every one of my videos. And I want to do a shout out to the RE45 and the longbow. If I had an 11 and a 12 on this list, those two would be on there. Honestly, I love taking them. I love using them. They're fun to use. They're not quite as good as these top 10 in my opinion. And with that, let's start with number 10. Number 10 is, you betcha, it's the Flatline. For me, the Flatline has been one of the most consistent guns since the launch of Apex Legends. It's a great close range gun, and it's also great at medium ranges. It does struggle a little bit at the long ranges, and it does have a little bit more recoil than say the R301, which will also be on this list. However, I do love picking it up early game because it is very strong hitting, and it's great at hip firing if you are near an enemy. That being said, I do think it struggles a little bit at the longer ranges since the anvil receiver was removed, and I don't think it's that great of a gun to be pop firing. If you're going to pop fire a heavy weapon, you might as well be using the Hemlock. But that being said, I do love picking up the Flatline, and I take it quite often. Number 9 on my list is the one and only sniper, the Triple Take. The Triple Take was buffed in Season 6, it now has a choke on by default, the fire rate was increased, and the magazine size increased by 1 across the board. This all makes the Triple Take a little bit better, and honestly, it's a great gun to pick up. It's great at close range. It almost acts like an EVA 8 shotgun. In a lot of ways, it's better than that because it can also be used as a medium range sniper to long range sniper because it has a choke on by default. I try to pick up the Triple Take whenever I see it, and it's super great to spray people close range early game. You can a lot of times one-shot people without them really expecting it. If you hit all 3 pelts on someone early game when they don't have a helmet, you'll do 138 damage, which makes it easy to kill someone even if they have a white Evo shield. Definitely pick up the Triple Take, check it out. If you're not picking it up, you're sleeping on it. It's a great gun. Number 8 is a weapon that I do not take too often, but objectively, it's a great weapon. That is the G7 Scout, formerly a sniper rifle, now an assault rifle. The G7 Scout for me really shines at the farther short ranges to medium ranges. It's not the greatest long range gun, probably why I was taken out from being a sniper rifle back in Season 4, I believe it was. It's a great gun for spraying enemies. I think if you're running a competitive environment, it's almost always good to have one person on your team with the G7. It's great for peppering, weakening, softening up people as they're approaching you. It can also be great for spraying close range. You can hip fire if you have the double tap on it at close ranges. The G7 is also a great gun because you really don't need a magazine on it, which is one of the few guns where if you don't have a mag, it's a great gun still to use. I honestly find these G7s all over the place. I think it might be the most common weapon to spawn on the ground. I don't know if this is because the R99 has been boxed. It's not quite as good as my next gun on my list, but you should have no issue finding one. Try it out. Next on the list, this is a weapon that probably would not have made the list last season, but it's showing up this season, and that is the Hemlock. The Hemlock had a little bit of a buff this season. The recoil was reduced in burst mode. I don't really know why they felt like it needed a buff, but for me, really, where the Hemlock shines is in that single shot fire mode. This thing is an absolute laser when you have a purple barrel on it. You can shoot across the map, no issues, really quickly. This gun would not have made my list last season or seasons before last. I had a lot of my buddies tell me I need to pick this gun up more, and I just wasn't doing it last season. This season I started picking it up and I've been absolutely loving it. I love it on controller, but I imagine this thing is even better on keyboard and mouse when you can shoot faster and you have that little bit better precision aiming at longer ranges. The Hemlock was hard for me to put at number 7 because I've been picking it up almost every game, but still the Hemlock just doesn't have quite the time to kill as these next few guns. And moving on from the Hemlock, we have the R301. The R301 is probably the most consistent weapon since the launch of Apex. There's not much to say about it. The R301 is your typical AR that you see in most games, and it still performs very well. If anything, I think it's been performing a little bit better than previous seasons. I think it was forgotten about a little bit when it had those nerfs back in like Season 3 days. It's definitely been better now, especially since the R99 is gone also. The only reason the R301 outshined the Hemlock by 1 slot is because at those close to medium ranges, it's much easier to use, and I think it does a little bit better DPS when you're really spraying someone in the body at that close range. There's not much else to say about the R301. Gonna keep taking it. It's a solid gun. Number 5, and what probably would have been number 1 on my list if it wasn't nerfed, it's, you betcha, the Devotion. The Devotion at the launch of Season 6 was an absolute animal. This thing pretty much came from the care package last season and went straight on the ground with all the same stats. And since then, it's gotten a couple nerfs, which made it drop down a few times on my list. But on top of that, I'm not really a Devotion person myself. I think it requires too many attachments for it to really excel and perform well. Mainly, you need the purple magazine for the energy slot. You need that purple magazine for the energy ammo. You also need that turbocharger for it to really shine. And I think these other guns that are above this can do a lot better without those attachments. And that's why the Devotion is number 5. However, if you get a fully kitted Devotion, or if you find that gold Devotion that's on the ground this season, it's an absolute animal. There's really no reason to look for any other gun if you find that gold Devotion. Another gun that really needs no introduction to this list is the Peacekeeper's little brother, the Mastiff. You betcha, the Mastiff is number 4 on my list, mainly because of its instant high burst damage that it can do. The Mastiff really isn't that hard to hit solid hundreds to someone at close ranges. If you're fighting multiple people, there's almost no better gun to be able to switch to and instantly spray someone down if they're pushing you. The Mastiff is the ultimate weapon for those close range, I'm in big trouble, whip it out and shoot someone right in the face. On top of that, honestly, the Mastiff has pretty good range. You can hit those 20s to 50 damage numbers from like the little bit farther close ranges. I love picking up the Mastiff. I've been taking it more and more as the seasons have been progressing. I could honestly see it getting a little bit of a nerf because you can almost hit like 120 with it at the close ranges, which is pretty insane, especially now that people have less shields and the time to kill is quicker. I love picking up the Mastiff. The Mastiff is number 4. Number 3 on this list, and new to Season 6 and new to Apex Legends, is the Volt. There's not really too much to say about the Volt. The Volt came into the game as an energy SMG, the first of its kind, and it's been steadily dominating the meta since it came out. The Volt is a solid gun to pick up even if you have no attachments on it. The one thing the Volt does lack in is a little bit of range compared to, say, the R99. It does have a lot of recoil and it does bounce around a lot. But the Volt only requires 13 bullets to kill someone with a red Evo shield if you're hitting all body shots. And this basically means you can kill 2 full people with a purple energy mag if you're not missing any shots and you're hitting only body shots. Pretty insane. I love taking the Volt. However, the Volt is not quite as good as number 2 on my list. And number 2 on my list is the Prowler. The Prowler for me, I've been loving more and more as I keep playing Apex. Just for reference, the Prowler will only take about 14 shots to the body to kill someone, and you can have 35 shots in a purple mag. This means you can kill 2 fully red Evo shielded enemies and someone with a white Evo shield with only 1 magazine. Obviously you need to hit all those shots, but the Prowler is literally insane. The Prowler, now that it got a buff in Season 6, and if you're not aware of that buff, the Prowler does even less recoil when you're in burst mode, which makes it even better. It got a nerf of the full auto recoil, but I don't really even notice it at all. I love taking the Prowler. It's probably my favorite gun in the game. The one thing the Prowler does struggle with is those longer range fights. Because it doesn't have a barrel on it, it is kind of hard to control if you need to shoot someone at, say, medium ranges, if you want to kind of pop fire them, soften them up a little bit. The Prowler will struggle there, but I love the Prowler. There's not much else to say. The Prowler is number 2 on my list. And the number 1 weapon, it is the Wingman. The Wingman has been my go-to since the game came out. There's nothing more satisfying than hitting those Wingman headshots on someone. Hitting like 101 on someone if you have a skull piercer and they don't have a helmet is literally insane for a pistol. The Wingman did drop down a little bit when they removed the skull piercer from the game. I think since they brought it back last season, this Wingman has been shining more and more. Not quite like those Season 1 days where it had 12 shots and a skull piercer, but it's still really, really good. It is the most versatile gun in the game, in my opinion. It's great at close ranges. You can absolutely melt someone, and you can also use it for those medium range fights, and you can pepper at someone at long ranges, all with this pistol. Another reason the Wingman really shines, and I didn't really talk about this with the other guns, but ammo control. You don't need a lot of shots with the Wingman. If you have 2 stacks of heavy, you're pretty much set for a lot of engagements. It's not quite like the Devotion where you need to go around and get 240 rounds minimum with that thing, because you're going to spray through all that ammo like nothing if you have more than one team to fight. The Wingman is even better on mouse and keyboard in my opinion, because you can have those fine-tuned long-range shots. It's really great on controller when you're close up because you have that aim assist to help you out. The Wingman is an all-around wonderful gun to be taking. I love matching the Wingman with a Hemlock. I love matching the Wingman with the R301. I love matching the Wingman with the Prowler. You can see here the Wingman goes pretty much with any of these guns on this list. And guys, that is my top 10 weapons for this season. Let me know what your top 3 guns are in the comments down below. Any of these guns on this top 10 are interchangeable. My number 10 could be my number 1 the next day and vice versa. Really what matters is that you're using a gun you feel comfortable with and a gun that you want to use at that time when you're playing. Try out all these weapons, they're so good. Thank you so much for your support over these past few months as I've been making these videos. Your support means a lot to me. We're going onwards and we're going upwards, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Peace out.